is going to be riding and what Facey does with Kirk and
I've been a Vikings fan
to lock in for the future.
since the
What's going to happen with
1987
Khalil
season,
Hunter,
so that's what,
Jalen Smith,
30,
Harrison Smith. To my way of thinking,
what
is
was that,
playing
like
his last
37
home game
seasons,
here.
something like that?
I
God,
don't
I'm
see
old.
him coming back. They're still celebrating on the field right now. But kudos to Green Bay. They came in and
That was one of the
kind of game they needed to play on New Year's
5
Eve.
most
And they're still
embarrassing
very much alive.
efforts I've ever seen this franchise give, considering the stakes, considering the opponent, considering what,
it wasn't just Blackman, it wasn't just Evans. It was, I mean,
considering everything. Just absolutely disgusting.
So confused at times out there.
Vikings lose 33-10, and they're not eliminated thanks to Pittsburgh beating Seattle, but they're eliminated because they need like 4 things to happen next week, and one of them is is us going into Detroit, a Detroit team that's going to need the game, or that at least going to be playing for something, potential seeding, and we have to win that game, and we're not going to win that game. We're going to finish 7-10.
They don't have to worry about that position, I think, anymore. But I don't see them if they make the.
And after this debacle, it's hard to look at this team as a hard luck story.
The way the Vikings could not today with a veteran quarterback. So
this was humiliating to the entire fan base, to anyone who actually showed up to the game. I'm so fucking glad I didn't go to this game. I would have left at halftime.
I think they really did. Okay, we won now.
This game was an insult to the fan base, absolute insult, because nobody showed up, not one, nobody. I don't want to hear anything about how. I don't want to hear anything. They were slobbering over Jordan Love and stuff during the game. He didn't do anything. It had nothing to do with what he did. It had everything to do with what the Vikings didn't even put forth an effort on. They didn't put any effort into game planning. They didn't put any effort out on the field. Nothing. Absolutely jack shit. Nothing. They didn't do a fucking thing to indicate that they gave a shit about this game at all.
They got some holes to fill.
Absolutely.
We know that.
All right, Ramsey, thank you so much, and Happy New Year.
Yeah,
defense completely non-competitive, at least until the game was already out of reach. I mean, what? I guess we only gave up 10 points in the second half. Who gives a shit?
Mark Rose and Hall of Famer with us here.
I mean, it helped. The only reason it wasn't like about 30, because it was 23-3 at the half. The only reason it wasn't about 38-3 is because Jordan Love sucks and couldn't hit a couple of really wide open plays.
Located in Eden Prairie Center. Visit wildfirerestaurant.com. 33-10.
Just absolutely disgusting. This is one of those games that just makes me just.
Hey fans, Pilot Games teamed up with the Minnesota Vikings.
I'm just so disgusted. It's just absolutely revolting what I saw in this game. But yeah, defense completely non-competitive. Wide open receivers all over the place. They weren't tackling. They weren't trying to tackle. They weren't doing anything. They weren't showing any effort on anything. Totally passive. I mean, did we get even a sack in the game? I don't even know if we did. Just a complete embarrassment. And it wasn't much better on offense. I mean, it wasn't better on offense. We put Jaron Hall out there. It was incredibly clear, incredibly fast that this guy had no chance. He was not ready. Maybe he'd never be ready. So can we put to bed now this thing where he did that? We had that one drive in Atlanta like 2 months ago that led to a field goal, and it was built up into this grand drive by this fan base like it was some glorious moment in history. And that was the reason, like, oh, how dare we not be starting Jaron Hall? Well, he was absolutely terrible when he was out there. You know, he threw an interception, kind of wasn't his fault, kind of off Munt's hands, but he had no chance. The moment was way too big for him. It was obvious immediately. But KOC waited till halftime to make the change back to Mullins. And look, I ripped the shit out of Nick Mullins last week, and he was terrible. And Nick Mullins cost us the game last week with those terrible turnovers. But at least he can maybe move the chains occasionally. I mean, the Packers came in with one of the most just maligned defenses. Every Packer fan on social media that I see has been calling for their DC, Joe Barry's head. You know, they gave up 30 points last week to the Carolina Panthers, and we couldn't get more than 10. And the only touchdown we got in the second half was after a muffed punt. and gave us a short field down. I think it may have even been inside the 10, and then we scored. No effort. The offensive line didn't fucking show up. Christian Darisaw, supposed to be our franchise left tackle. He didn't put in any effort in this game at all. Every single play, he's getting beat. Garrett Bradbury wasn't interested in blocking anybody. Brian O'Neill, terrible. Ed Ingram got hurt, I think. It's one of the most disgusting performances by the Vikings I've ever seen, because this isn't like we let some great team come in here and just destroy us. This is a mediocrity, just like we are. 7-8, now 8-8 Packers team that's actually in a playoff spot now. Packers are going to make the playoffs. If they beat the Bears next week, which they probably will, they're in the playoffs.
In his career, Jones on the ground, 20 carries, 120, and that was going at a 6.0.
What can you say? I mean,
otherwise, if you're looking with the Minnesota Vikings, Jaron Hall, 5 of 10, 67.
I'll never understand how this defense so quickly went from very good, borderline elite, to absolute dog shit. They have been dog shit for like 10 plus quarters now. I don't know what happened. Whatever the thing is, maybe it was found out. Oh my god.
And they gained 211 in this game.
Something happened.
Once again, not in the favor of.
Because again, this isn't that. There's a couple different, Byron Murphy out and DJ Wanham out now, but this is mostly the same defensive personnel that was really good for about 2 months. It was the reason that we got back in this thing, and they just absolutely imploded.
Or you can use the talkback feature as well on the iHeart.
Nothing sucks the life out of a team, out of watching a team, like a defense that just can't get off the field and just can't do anything. And this was so depressing, because I mean, I picked the Vikings to lose this game. I mean, it's still 2023 for a little while. It's still the season from hell. It was never going to let us out. I didn't see this coming. I didn't see a lack of effort. And that's the thing. Like, they've been losing close games all year and stuff, but they're in the games. They're trying. They're screwing up, but they're trying. Tonight they did not try. But tonight they put forth zero effort. And I am disgusted as a Vikings fan. I think the Minnesota Vikings disgrace themselves, and they disgrace their fans tonight. Players, coaches, everybody. And I don't know what that means for the future. They got one game left in Detroit next week, which they will lose. They'll finish 7-10. There's a chance they might even finish last. I think if they lose and then the Bears win, I think the Bears will finish ahead of us. We'll finish last. I guess the fans who were rooting for us to lose out for draft position, I guess they're happy. But I'm sure not happy. This was disgusting. I mean, we've seen bigger blowout losses and stuff, but to better teams than this, and not with basically the season on the line. I mean, Steelers pulled out a win in Seattle today and gave us back our playoff destiny, and we pissed it away without even trying. Guess they don't care. I guess they just don't give a shit. It's just disgusting. Complete non-effort from the top down. This is one of those losses that's going to put. I mean, they're not going to make the playoffs, and they might go into next season with, depending on what happens with quarterback and other personnel, and we might be questioning something with Kevin O'Connell, because such a complete team-wide no-show like this, that comes back to the coach 100%.
Paul Allen on the call here, New Year's Eve at Stadium, and the final is 33-10.
Not saying fire KOC. I'm not saying that at all.
Everything
But
started off here so exciting. There was so much hope. I mean, we were watching earlier, and you got Harris with 122 yards on the ground, a couple of touchdowns for the Steelers. Pickens,
well-coached teams
yards receiving, and the Steelers
don't quit.
beat the Seahawks.
They don't
It was
quit.
huge, 30-23.
They don't pull no-shows
Thinking,
in
here
front of
we
your
go.
home
We got a chance.
fans
We beat the Packers here
against
at
your
home,
number one rival
and that's gonna
with a
help us
playoff spot on
one
the
step
line.
closer, maybe to getting into
And
the playoffs.
do something
Still
like
not
this,
completely
because
over,
I'm
but a
sorry,
lot
the
of
Packers
things
aren't
have
that
to
good.
happen. But again,
We're not
there
that
was
good,
just so
but the
much
Packers are not that
energy
good
here,
either.
ready to go.
They should not
Knowing
come
that
in here and
Seahawks
beat us
lost.
33-10.
And also, you got Kirk
We should, at the
Cousins
very least, have
blowing the
kind of
Gallagher, he was with the
been
shirt
in a
off,
shootout
and
with
he had
them
their
because their
coaching
defense has been
throwing
horrible.
everything, and the
But
place
we only
went
scored 10
nuts.
points,
We would like to also
and we only got the
Rams
touchdown
actually
because we got them
were able to
inside the
lose,
10.
but that doesn't matter. Rams win 26-25 earlier today over the Giants.
That
In
needs to
any
be
case,
answered for.
The win is what you needed here with the Packers to be able to continue on.
What an insult to a horrible home schedule this year. They go 2-6 at home.
Like we're going to be making it in here. is
Worst.
basically the bottom line.
They've only had one season ever where they've been worse at home than
They
this.
clinched the AFC West with a
The
win,
Les Steckel team had the same
25-17.
home
They'll be the
record
third
that
spot
we
in the
did
AFC.
this year.
And meanwhile, the Cards beat the
The
Eagles
infamous Les
35
Steckel team.
to 31. Murray throws 3 touchdowns in that game earlier, and now Philly is sitting in the 5 spot in the NFC playoff picture. And ultimately, we are probably not. 33-10 loss here on New
There's no real.
Year's Eve.
What's the point of talking about the game? I was just so checked out of the game. Like this, just giving up wide open receivers and no tackling, and when Mullins first came in after halftime, he sparked them a little bit. He got him, down in the red zone, and then there was a 4th down, and we didn't convert, and that was the end of that.
And the coach, Kevin O'Connell, they'll be coming up here right before we get the Vikings fan line on the Minnesota Vikings radio network, driven by Polaris.
But that was it. It's not like Mullins.
People smile this holiday season.
Mullins was better than Hall, but it wasn't by much.
You can give back by serving meals, distributing toys,
Halftime, I'm like,
bills, and much more.
or even before halftime, I'm like, yeah, you might as well bring in Mullins, because he's probably gonna turn the ball over like an idiot, but at least he's gonna maybe put up some points, because when you're getting down multiple scores early, you're gonna need points, and you can't count on that with Jaron Hall, and apparently you can't count on that with Nick Mullins either. We were just done. It really is true that the second Kirk Cousins Achilles exploded on the Lambeau Field turf, it was over. We got the little Dobbs bump. And I'll forever wonder what would have happened if KOC had actually been willing to let Dobbs be a mobile quarterback. I mean, we saw it again tonight. Jaron Hall's a little, he's not mobile like Dobbs, but he can move around a little bit. There was no play designs to get Jaron Hall moving. Just have him sit in the pocket, have him run the Kirk Cousins offense. I mean, I don't get it. I worry about this if they do draft a quarterback, like a more mobile quarterback. Draft this next draft. Is KOC even going to be willing to let him beat it, whoever it is, or is it just going to be you have to do this exact offense because I'm too rigid and I can't change? Because he screwed Dobbs with his play calling, and I think to an extent he screwed Jaron Hall tonight. But I don't think Jaron Hall is going to ever succeed in this game. I don't know what they'll do next week. I mean, I guess you probably start Nick Mullins, but who cares? Season's over. They're not officially eliminated, but they are eliminated because of all the things that need to happen next week. Probably the least likely thing to happen that you need is winning at Detroit. That's probably the least likely. I could see Seattle losing to the Cardinals. I could see the Packers losing to the Bears, and I think either Tampa or New Orleans have to lose. And I could see New Orleans losing. But it doesn't fucking matter, man. Just a disgusting performance, disgusting effort. I think it was a complete insult to the fans. I mean, you could hear it on the TV, the "Go Pack Go" chants. You let that happen. This coaching staff and this team went out there and let that happen tonight. Embarrassing, completely humiliating to the fans, complete insult to the fans. And I don't want to hear any bullshit about
Coach Kevin O'Connell. Another tough loss.
any of the hard luck stuff. And treated them as a hard luck story, and I think they have been a hard luck story, but they weren't a hard luck story tonight. This one's completely on them for a complete lack of effort.
Exactly what into that decision.
There's no, well, we just had this one unlucky break, or we had a call, or whatever, or injury. No, this was a choice to play this way tonight, with this lack of effort and this lack of interest. They've checked out. They're planning their off-season vacations. Well, fuck you, Vikings, because this was an insulting game. And I've seen, I mean, if it's 37 years times, 16, whatever the hell that comes to, that's, I don't know, 500-600 games I've seen as a Vikings fan, and this was in the bottom 5 to 5-10, whatever, of most embarrassing and humiliating performances that I've ever seen the Vikings give, given everything that was at stake in the opponent. And I guess we have one more game, but I ain't looking forward to it, because this season is fucking toast. And good fucking riddance to 2023. This whole year can burn in hell.